Are you passionate about healthcare? Visit south.edu to learn about South College's Bachelor's or Associate of Science in Nursing program. Nursing is a challenging and fulfilling profession where you have the chance to make a real difference in the lives of your patients. Nurses serve as a care provider, educator, and advocate for patients. By the time you earn your degree, you'll have worked to gain fundamental skills needed and will be eligible to take the NCLEX RN exam. Visit South College today at south.edu. South College, where dreams find direction.
Live from the Farrah and Farrah Studios. Farrah and Farrah, Orlando personal injury attorneys. WCFB FM HD1 Daytona Beach, Orlando. For those of you who are visiting, welcome to America's greatest city.
Star 94.5, the soul of Orlando.
Okay. Star 94.5, the soul of Orlando. It's time now for Monica May's Point of View, a show that delves into the issues that affect you. We believe in transparency and providing only the facts. And now, here's Monica May.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. On this last day of Women's History Month, we've got an interesting show for you. Nat C. Jones, whom we've had on before, is a master facilitator. She's taken on a new role now as the CEO of POLIS Institute. Not only will she share what her background is and how she got the position, but she'll also tell us what the impact will be on our community. And I do need to say that our conversation was pre-recorded, and then we'll have a chance to speak with the clerk of the court, Tiffany Moore Russell. She is also, check this out, the AKA South Atlantic Regional Director. She's had that position for quite a few years. It is the changing of the guards, and the AKA's big Southern Regional Conference is coming to town, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what we can expect and how the community can be involved. Let's talk to Nat C. Jones first. So congratulations on becoming the new CEO of the POLIS Institute. Nat, what drew you this time to this role and this particular organization? Had you worked with them before or what?
Well, thank you, first of all, for the congratulations. And yes, I have had a great relationship with the POLIS Institute. It's been a part of my career journey. I worked with POLIS Institute probably 10 years ago when I was young and spry. It was a different capacity, of course, and I just kept in touch and kept my eye on them over the years when I had my own nonprofit and started my LLC. So we've always had a good relationship.
So how would you describe your organization's mission and impact? And this would be for folks who have never even heard of the POLIS Institute.
Well, first of all, polis is the Greek word for city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about impacting cities and communities. I'd say it's an organization that helps communities to think better so they can live better. We have a phrase called think well, live well.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission is to champion human dignity by designing solutions to the social problems that get in the way of people thriving.
So you do this community by community by community.
Mm-hmm. What we do in real life, that means bringing together residents, nonprofits, leaders, funders, listening well, studying what is actually happening, and helping to turn that into better decisions, better investments for philanthropists, and stronger neighborhoods.
We can call it like a community think tank.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we know when we need this think tank?
Well, we call ourselves a participatory think well. A think well is different than a think tank. It's like an elevated version of a think tank because we get people involved. It means we don't just sit around studying problems and writing reports. We do write reports, but we actually work with the community to figure out what's going on and then help turn those ideas into real action. We get involved with the community, and we want to hear what the community has to say about said issues and problems that they're having.
What particular community are you working with now?
Well, we're working in the West Lakes community. We're doing a little something in the Eatonville community. In the past, it's been East Winter Garden, usually communities that are underserved and that have certain challenges. Yeah. But the issue is, and I know you've noticed this, sometimes people come from outside of the community, like they have all the answers for the community. Even if they have resources for the community, you still need the input of the community because they are the experts. I remember going to a community meeting and finding there was a resident there who had lived there 72 years. You mean to tell me this man doesn't have any input that he could share that could help guide?
Of course he did.
Of course. So we need that. We need to be able to draw from the community and extract from them the solutions that can help the community.
Okay. So if you take a community like say in Eatonville, they would reach out to POLIS and have you come in, and you're a master facilitator. And so you use the facilitation skills that you already have. And look, I'm just making a job description out for her. And the way you direct conversation, that creates forms for people to feel comfortable enough to participate in. And then through that, you piece it all together.
Yes.
That's
so
a simple way.
The community can reach out themselves. It could be a community leader. A lot of times it's people who are doing work in a community or investing in a community that will reach out to POLIS because they need the community engagement. They need to know what's going on. They need data to inform their decisions. And the process of extracting information from the community is listening. Yeah. It always starts with listening. And I found that a lot of communities don't feel heard, even with the people and the organizations that say they're there to help, quote unquote, the community. Well, how you going to help me and you ain't asked me what I need? Yeah. If I'm hungry and you bring me some water, I didn't say I was thirsty. I said I was hungry. All you got to do is ask me what I need and I'll tell you. So sometimes that gets lost, because you have developers and people who want to invest and they have money, and then you have the community. They may not have so much money, but they have all of the knowledge that you need. And so we stand in the middle between the two and we bridge that gap so that the investors will invest properly and have greater impact, and the community gets their needs met. There's so many communities that, you know, investors have come through and they're like, my life hasn't changed at all. Nothing really moved on the needle. It looks good on the news, but when you talk to the people, they're like, nothing has really changed here. That's just a pretty building. So we want to make sure the investors want to know that their money is going into the right place and it's having a great impact, and the community wants to know that our lives are going to improve because of the investment.
A successful outcome looks like what?
A successful outcome looks like increased employment, better grades for kids in school, stronger families that are together, everything that your everyday life looks like. You have kids, you have elders, they have needs, you have parents, you have business owners. Every type of person that makes up a community has a specific need. And in order to find out what their need is, you have to talk to them. And then it comes to, let's create a strategy to help you meet the goals that you have. Like, for instance, one of our programs is called MVP Strong Families. And POLIS Institute works to develop these grassroots nonprofit organizations that are working with families. So through this program, we aren't directly working with the families, but we're empowering the leaders and the organizations that do work with those families to make sure that they have what they need, leadership development, program development, to position them for greater success so they can impact the families in the community.
What does MVP stand for?
MVP is most valuable player. That's a sports thing. But MVP Strong Families is a partnership with Florida Citrus Sports. They wanted to invest in the community, more specifically the 32805 area code around that area, around the Citrus Bowl. Oh, excuse me, Camping World Stadium.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. They want to impact the lives of the families in that community. And so we work with these organizations that are a part of MVP Strong Families so that they can impact them with their services.
That means that you have collaborations with other organizations to make sure that the impact is really, really bridged, and everything that the community is suggesting that they need, that those needs can be met.
Absolutely. I would like to name a couple of the organizations that are in the MVP Strong Families program. That's hard to say real fast. But anyway, one of the organizations is called Go Mom Empowers, Inc.
What's it called?
Go Mom.
I think I've interviewed.
Go ! Mom Empower, Inc. And
I think
the leader of that organization is Crystal Hamilton.
Yeah.
She most recently received the POLIS Presence Award because she is amazing. She works nonstop. She loves working with the single moms and giving them what they need so they can strengthen their families. And so she's one of our organizations. And then you have Blended Hearts under Cassandra, and she works with blended families. We work with the Boys and Girls Club in the West Lakes area. Be Creative Consultant, that's Anne Marie, and she's all about early education for children, creative learning for children.
That's good.
And so these organizations, they partner together and they do work individually as well. And it's a great community. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anybody. Miss Wanda with Advent Health for Children, the Early Learning Center in West Lakes. That's also our MVP partner. Tiffany Taylor with Orlando Day Nursery. Orlando Day Nursery's been around for about 100 years. My daughters went there for childcare when I worked for the city of Orlando. It's right in the Paramore area, big, beautiful brick building. It's a great nursery, and they have a lot of wonderful programs, and she's a part of the MVP Strong Families Network as well. So we just finished a cohort a couple of months ago that took them through the process of learning how to tell their story, how to grow their impact, how to be better leaders, all the things that help an organization thrive.
So how do you pick the organizations that you do collaborate with so that they can feel the full impact of your leadership and what POLIS is all about and what they offer?
When I started in this role, I was director of operations starting October 2020.
Oh, okay.
Now, they were already given to me because they had already gone through the application process. But there is an application process. There's an interview process. Looking for people who get it, who are involved in what they're doing for the right reasons. They have the passion. They have to have that X factor. There has to be a need. They have to understand what their need is and where they want to go. And we usually select about 5 or 6 organizations to work with.
That's good. That's some of the key issues and projects that POLIS is focused on right now. When you think of what the future looks like for other organizations who may want the impact or be a part of POLIS, what are you looking for? How do they reach out?
Well, they can email me directly at nat@polisinstitute.org, and you can follow us on social media at POLIS Institute. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on X, and I recently started a TikTok for us as well.
Does POLIS exist around the country, or is this something specific to
We have
Orlando?
some special projects in certain states, but we want to exist around the country for sure.
So POLIS is here.
POLIS is here in Central Florida and has been for a while. And we just started a new project with Leanne Youngman. She is our project coordinator, and it's called POLIS Pulse. And that's about, Leanne goes to a lot of the events and engagements that I mentioned earlier, and she normally just goes and she mingles and she, gets attendance and she kind of lets us know what's going on. I said, Leanne, I want you to start capturing what's going on. So now she does videos, she does interviews, she has a wonderful personality, and she really knows how to connect with the community. So I said, Leanne, I want you to be the Oprah of POLIS. We're going to take that, we're going to have her do some sit-down interviews and things like that. So I'm really excited about that new project.
I was just thinking that if we could put grassroots organizations, government, philanthropy, if they really work together and POLIS was in there, that could be some transformation.
That's true. That's one of the biggest strengths of POLIS.
Because y'all are tapped into all of that.
Yeah, we're in this interesting space where we can talk uptown or downtown. We facilitate partnerships across sectors. We align efforts with, shared values. We communicate the lessons that have been learned when engaging the community, and we help organizations grow capacity. So instead of every group doing good and working separately, POLIS helps create a stronger table where people can coordinate, learn from one another, move in the same direction. And that's a big part of what we've done in projects like MVP Strong Families and the broader community work. So it's about collaboration 100%.
That means that everybody has to feel comfortable playing in the same sandbox. So that is one of your expertises. Let's go back to just who Nat C. Jones is.
Okay.
So she's an author. She is the most spectacular woman I know, but she's like a sister to me. But deep down inside, she wants what's best for everyone, and she wants to create a seat at a table for everyone. Put the placemat there, the plate, and everything. She wants all of that. What drives you to do that?
Well, my favorite scripture is, "In all thy getting, get an understanding." I think the major issue in any conflict is that there's a lack of understanding. Like you just mentioned, you got different entities. You're trying to bring them to the table. They have different interests. I don't want to say they have different interests. They may have different motivations or different ways, but everybody's trying to get to the same goal.
Okay.
We want communities to be healthy. Well, the investor may think all you need is to throw some money at it. The nonprofits may think, well, we need to have more programs. And then the communities think, well, I just need, somebody to listen to me. So bringing people together that have different perspectives is so important. We only feel comfortable talking to people who look and think just like us. And we miss a wonderful opportunity for growth. So I'm able to see in these workshops people from different walks of life and finding a commonality between them so that they can realize we're not as different as we think we are. And now we can work together. And now I want to hear you and you want to hear me because I understand you're not as different from me as I thought.
So how many aha moments have you come across since you started with POLIS?
Ooh.
Yeah, see?
Well, just how it happened. It was an aha moment. I'm a believer. I had a nonprofit and a for-profit business, and I was super busy. And Phil and I met up to do a workshop together.
Now, who is Phil?
Phil is the founder. I probably should have mentioned that. Phil Hissom. Sorry, Phil. Phil Hissom is the founder of POLIS Institute. He is the brainchild. He's brilliant. And so he's been a mentor to me as well.
I was going to say, is this the same Phil
Yeah.
that really helped you expand your facilitation?
Yes.
Well, go back and talk about that. Yeah.
So I was a facilitator, and it was a gift. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew what I was doing. I think he might have been the one that actually told me, you're a facilitator. And I was like, okay, I like that. And so I did a lot of work with Phil, facilitating off and on over the years. And I looked at him somewhat like a mentor. He's always looked at me as a partner, and I appreciated that because honestly, he's an older, Phil, you're not old, you're seasoned, but he's an older white male, and I'm a very young, very, very, very young, no, just kidding, a younger Black woman. And so sometimes in your mind, because of the age difference and the gender and the race, think, okay, this is a mentor. But he's always looked at me as a partner. And he's always seen and validated my skills and my gifts. And he told me, you're the best facilitator I've ever witnessed one time. I don't know if you remember that, Phil, but I never forgot it, and I recorded you saying it. So I worked with him. And
this was pre-POLIS?
No, I met him when I was working for POLIS. What was funny is I was working with Lift Orlando for a short stint, and I was facilitating, and I saw him looking at me. He was like, yeah. He was looking at me like, she's got the stuff, And so when I left Lift, I ended up doing my own business. Later on, I ended up working with POLIS, but I've always appreciated the faith-based roots that POLIS has. Now, they're not Bible thumping. They're not trying to, do any converting or anything like that. Nothing wrong with that. But there's a core that's rooted in faith. And so Phil reached out when we were doing a workshop together with Orange County, and he said, so you interested in helping out with POLIS in the leadership role? And, just trying to kind of test
this
the ground.
This was recent? That
last year.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't do that. I have my nonprofit business, my for-profit. I was flying high. And he was like, okay. And so we went ahead and we worked on the workshop together. And then all of a sudden, the nonprofit stalled and the for-profit. And I was like, what is going on? And my husband said,
God.
Right. I was like, I think Phil prayed and closed down my contracts. So I circled back around and said, do you still need help with POLIS? And he was like, yeah. And that's what started everything. Aww. So I started in a director of operations role. He was the interim CEO at the time. And then he started training me to be the CEO.
And so now that is the role that she plays with POLIS. So POLIS Institute, again, in a nutshell, is, I call it a think tank, and you say no, it's more of a participatory.
It's a participatory. I love that word, participatory. Yeah, it's a participatory think well. It just means that people are involved. The community is not just being observed. They're part of the solution.
And listen, when we talk think tanks, it's usually people in white shirts with loosened ties, and they are projecting what they think to be the problem.
Yeah.
But a participatory think well involves human beings being spoken with, not just to, and getting their input in trying to build the solutions that they have for their own community.
Yeah, there's different types of learning. You can read a lot of books, you can study, you can analyze, or you can talk to people. Neither is wrong, but I find that getting it directly from the horse's mouth, and I'm not calling the community a horse, is the most accurate way to direct impact and create impact. I love what I do. I love POLIS. I've always loved the mission of POLIS. And like I said, it stands right there on the line between so many different types of entities and able to bring people together to affect change. It's really exciting to be a part of.
Do you work with just nonprofits or just pull in nonprofits to collaborate with, or businesses? What do you do?
It's mostly nonprofits. We work with government as well. Anybody, if it's a for-profit and they're looking to invest in the community, a lot of the investors are going to be for-profit as well. So they may have the money. They're like, look, we want to do something. We don't know what to do. We don't live over here. We don't know these people. So then it's important to say, well, here, let me show you what's going on in the community. Does anything speak to you? You know, because sometimes investors know they want to make a change, but they don't have the information. They have this pull on their heart. And so I don't want to just throw money somewhere. I want to make sure that it's really making a difference.
Right.
And so we're able to help coach and consult those people.
POLIS is how old now? You said about
15 years.
15 years now.
Yes.
Wow. And Phil just figured that this was something that he wanted to do. This is his give back, huh?
You know, Phil is a unique individual. I call him a cool nerd. I love nerds. He's all about research and data and maps and GIS and seeing, okay, what's happening in this zip code? How many people are employed here? And how many families do we have here? And so he has that side, and he also has the heart of a community advocate as well. So that's a very unique combination.
And he put it together
and
to
he
work.
put it together. I think POLIS Institute started with a project that he was working on, and someone said, you know what, you should go further with this. You know, I think I will, because it's needed elsewhere. It's a very unique experience. It's a unique institute, and I'm really excited about taking it to the next level and chartering new waters.
What does that look like for you, the next level?
Well, I really want to engage the younger generation. You know how I am. You know how I am. I want to get involved with some college students. They're coming out of school. They're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. They have a lot of information. They've learned some things that we've learned may be obsolete at this point, but they know all the cutting-edge technology.
They know that AI.
I want to get involved with AI. I want to create coaching programs to help strengthen leadership in communities. I firmly believe that every quote-unquote underserved community has everything they need right there in the community. There are brilliant people in the community that have the skill set and the solutions to all the problems of the community, and they just need guidance in how to get that out, how to facilitate the change in their community.
Because of Nat's schedule, we pre-recorded this conversation. This woman is all over our city, facilitating here, listening there, making sure that she can try to make a difference. And when we think about some of the differences that POLIS has tapped into, I know economic inequality is one of them. You mentioned jobs and job retention. What are some of the other things that you find communities are lacking or in need of?
What we're focused on right now is building strong families. Because everything revolves around the family. Whatever that family looks like, it starts there. You have the adult, you have the child. These are the people, the adults are going to go out, they're going to get work. Okay, once they leave, now we're talking about jobs. Now we're talking about traffic. Now we're talking about infrastructure of the city and all these things. But it starts with them at home, the family, and then it branches out. And now we have all of these needs because of what you do when you leave the home. But it starts at the home. So we are wanting to focus on that the most right now, build that foundation, make a strong foundation for parenting, for the health of the children. We're also working, did I mention this? I did not mention this.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
What's that?
One of the organizations that we're working with in Eatonville is called the Life Cycle Club. Now, if you
I've heard,
are on my social media at all, you will find that I have been biking a lot lately.
So you know what? Okay, here's where point of view really comes into play for this community. And I thank Elroy Smith, once again, the program director, for entrusting a show that could have my name attached to our community presentation, because just about every organization that you have mentioned this morning, we have had on the radio.
Really?
Yes, every single one of them. So, or I have had some type of contact with them. So I'm really grateful for that. So when you mentioned Life Cycle, that is a wonderful program that started there where they are on bikes. That's not my favorite pastime. Were you a bike rider before?
I was a bike rider like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think I stopped in middle school, which is so funny because now I love it so much because it makes me feel like a kid again. And I forget that my thighs are burning when I'm doing it.
I was waiting for her to throw in something funny.
Oh my gosh. I said, I'm breathing hard, but it just feels so good. The wind in your face, we have great weather right now, minus the pollen. We've been working with the Life Cycle Club to help, again, just like with MVP Strong Families, to help with leadership development, how to tell their story, how to market. They've been really successful with very little marketing, just kind of telling people that they knew. And I'm like, where's your social media presence? We're about to blow this thing up. It's a wonderful program. Patra and Ladale Stanley are great. They're a couple, great leaders in the Eatonville community. And most Black neighborhoods need something in regards to health, something to help with health, to keep us active, to get us to eat right, things like that. And so they want to introduce healthy eating and food for the kids in Eatonville and the families. And then biking is a fun way to stay in shape.
Sure.
Yeah. And so every first Saturday, the first Saturday of every month at 7:30 a.m., we meet and we start riding at 8. There are 2 routes. There's a 4-mile route and an 8-mile route. I do the 8-mile.
You?
It's hard, but I do the 8-mile. And then you get fresh fruit and you get water. And it's so simple, but it's such a beautiful program. And when you're riding through Eatonville, then Maitland, and people see you riding through with your crew and they're waving.
How many people have joined on this trail?
You know what? Every time I go, it's about 30 people.
Okay.
Yes. I think overall that's been registered is probably around 50, but everybody didn't show up at the same time. It's a really, really great program, and I'm excited about where they're headed. And I would love to see it grow and end up reaching other communities as well. But yeah, the Life Cycle Club.
So when we talk about programs like Life Cycle and like some of the others that you mentioned, I would suppose that those are the grassroots organizations that you're particularly fond of and that POLIS is really sinking their teeth into. What about some other wins for POLIS?
Wins, I'm about to create a whole lot of wins for POLIS and moving forward. POLIS has done a lot over the years, but we're looking ahead in regards to strengthening these grassroots initiatives. We want to see numbers increase in regards to employment. We want to see numbers increase in regards to families staying together. And I'm going to work hard to make sure that happens.
When we talk about building strong families, you're talking about and strengthening those families. You're talking specific to two-parent or strengthening single moms, single dads. What are we talking?
Yes, every type of family that you can think of. Any parent-child, connection needs to be strengthened. Like I said, with Go Moms Empower, she works specifically with single moms. And then we have organization that works with blended families because that has its own challenges and set of issues. And then whatever kind of family is a family, we're going to work with them and improve the foundation of everything that a community needs. It all comes from the family.
If you had to think about an issue or issues that are impacting families today that you believe we're not talking about right now, what do you think that might be?
One of the issues that has come up has been fathers and their role in the family and the connection between the father's presence and the health of the children. Fathers have value in the family, and there's data that backs that up. Also, these come from questions that investors have had. Where are the fathers? Where are the churches?
Ah, that's right up your alley.
Ooh, is it? Oh,
It is.
That
It
alley is dark. No, I'm just saying.
is.
But where are the fathers? These are very controversial topics. Where are the fathers? Where are the churches? And why is there poverty? Where's the poverty coming from? Those are three difficult questions that we're diving into. We know a little bit, but we have to learn more. And that comes with talking to people, finding out what their experiences are. In regards to churches, and I don't want to say this is a pain point for me, but I really want to see churches involved in community development. I want to see the people of God stepping outside of the four walls and getting involved, because we have everything that the community needs, but it's almost like we don't understand that that's ministry.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
It's ministry. Ministry goes beyond Bible study and singing worship songs. Ministry is about, let's see, my scripture, Isaiah 58. Do you mind if I share that?
No, go ahead.
I love Isaiah 58 because this is how I define ministry, and I believe this is why I was drawn to Polis as well. So Isaiah 58 talks about true fasting. This was a time when they thought fasting was just, we're not going to eat, we're going to do all these religious things. And it says, shout it aloud, do not hold back, raise your voice like a trumpet, declare to my people their rebellion and to the descendants of Jacob their sin. For day after day they seek me out. They seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the commands of its God. They ask me for just decisions and seem eager for God to come near them. They say, why have we fasted and you have not seen it? This isn't talking to God. We're doing all these religious things and you're not paying any attention to us, God. We've humbled ourselves and you haven't noticed, they say. Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. This is God telling them. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only the bowing of the head like a reed and lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Then he says, is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? This is what he wants, to loose the chains of injustice. That's the first thing he said. I don't need all your religious acts. There are people who are hurting. You are to loose the chains of injustice.
Help them.
That's a way of saying help. Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? This is God saying this to religious folk that just want to not eat and get, credit for that. He's like, that doesn't mean anything to me. People are suffering and you walked past them to get to your church service. This is for the church. We have work to do.
But how can we get them engaged if they're not thinking like that scripture? You hear that deep sigh?
That was
deep
just breath all in your microphone. Jesus. We have to have conversations. There is a challenge with the church. We have to have conversations. We have to have churches come together and stop operating in silos.
Yep.
And have a more kingdom mindset. This is what I learned at the Exponential Conference Phil and I went to at First Baptist. There were a lot of people there, people from all over the world. I went to the workshop about planting churches. I don't know how I ended up in that one, but he was saying in the Bible days, the church was the city. Think about that. Not 20,000 churches in a city and my church does this and yours does that. The church is the city. We're responsible for this city. If you are a believer and you're a person of faith, that should be the common goal. We are responsible for this city. We want this city to thrive with kingdom principles. We can make that happen together. When Paul would write, he would say to the Ephesians, he's talking about cities.
And he's talking about everybody.
Everybody in the city. So he said, when you're a pastor of the city, not of your one building on the corner. So we got to start with prayer.
How do we make an impact on the city and do it as a collective?
As a collective. And I remember when I had my nonprofit click and I met with, it was a hoity-toity guy, it was an investor, he had a lot of money. He said, most people don't know this or understand this. He said, but the church would be a great place to start in regards to community transformation. And when he said that, I remember my heart dropping because I knew the challenges that come along with that.
Absolutely.
Working together at the Exponential Conference, I was a part of the Neighborliness Workshop and International Ministry Network. They've started working together, mobilizing 180 plus churches to work together. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine 5?
No.
Can you imagine 3? Okay. Imagine what 100 churches that have decided to work together and put aside their differences and how they like to do things and their agenda and said, we're going to tackle these issues in our city. The city would be thriving. It's no question. It would be thriving. I don't have the answer on how we can make that happen, but I know it starts with a conversation, sitting down with one church leader, then another, seeing who has that kingdom mindset. It may just be starting with a few. And then maybe once that starts, you can get the ball rolling and get more churches involved. You have all the people right there.
Do you think POLIS can do that?
Oh, 100%. If anybody can do it, POLIS can do it. Like I said earlier, we know how to stand in between the lines. We know how to speak all the different languages. Yeah, and it's doable, and I believe it's going to happen in my lifetime.
And under your leadership,
Yes.
what are some of the challenges that you're stepping into this new role as CEO?
The challenge is always what the work is. The challenge is getting people to come together and understand each other. That's always the challenge, especially when people have different paces of work. So, for instance, if you have an investor that wants to do work in the community wants it to happen this quickly, the investor says it's going to take this long, now we have a challenge. We have to get people to understand this is how long it takes, this is the process. Or maybe the investor needs to understand this is not what you need to invest in. You need to invest in this because the community is
saying that's what they need.
Getting people to understand each other, the pace, the interest, and the motives, just getting people to connect and see each other and not just focus so much on the differences is always the challenge. It's going to be ongoing.
What does POLIS need more of right now in order to expand your impact?
I would say fellows.
Talk to me about fellows.
Yeah, we are working on a fellowship program, and I'm really excited about this.
And fellows is different than collaborators, or?
Right,
okay.
It's different. So the fellowship program is all about bringing in people who are already doing great work in the community and giving them a platform, support, and connection to grow their impact. So instead of us trying to do everything ourselves, we're building a network of leaders who can do even more together.
Okay.
So we have a fellowship program, and we have 4 tiers. Okay. Our first tier is the community fellows. So that's ground insight and lived experience, okay? It's participatory research, community researchers. So they're going to produce community insight summaries, interviews, and lived experience documentation, okay? The second tier are the student fellows. So this is where I want to partner with UCF and get some college students involved. So that's about strengthening research discipline. So this is a degree-aligned research for emerging scholars, undergraduate or graduate students integrating academic work with POLIS projects. So whatever project we have, they're going to bring their academics to strengthen the project. They're going to produce research memos, literature reviews, short reports, and presentations. That's tier 2. This is new, so I'm excited about recruiting, getting people involved in this. Tier 3 is for the project fellows. So that's about formalizing analysis.
That sounds deep.
Yeah. Applied research, core program analysis. So researchers engaged to formally document and analyze our initiatives at POLIS. So the project fellows are going to produce structured research reports, program evaluations, and applied white papers.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a little bit deeper. Finally, the tier 4, last but not least, those are our senior fellows, and they're going to elevate thought leadership. So this is for professional thought leaders, public scholarship. It's for established professionals with defined expertise and a public voice. And they're going to produce investment briefs, also white papers, books, and media presentations. So this is how the model will work. POLIS fellowships will invest in people at multiple levels to produce insight that strengthens philanthropic decision making. Okay. Each tier builds on the one below it. The funder underwrites the structured inquiry and responsible analysis. POLIS Fellowships funds people who focus deeply on the issues that you care about before funding decisions are made. So this is about investors getting involved through the fellows. The investors invest in the fellow does the work that the investor is passionate about. So it's important that investors know what they're passionate about, and we can help with that as well, inform that. But the fellows are doing the work, and they're going to produce something that's going to show the impact, so the investors can see, I did that. I invested in that, and this is what it produced.
What's the connection? How do you get people engaged in this, and how does it benefit the community even more?
So this benefits the community because it's deep research. So research always affects impact, because we don't want to just be out here spending time. We want to make sure we're doing the things that move the needle. And so this is representing specialists and experts that understand what moves the needle because they've done the work. So remember, you got research is very important, research and data, but also I don't want to say the hand holding, also the spending time in the community and hearing from the people. But you need both. If you just have one and not the other, you're missing something. So this just helps wrap everything up. And it really helps to inform philanthropy. So the people who want to invest in the community can see, this is specifically what will work.
How does POLIS know then which organizations to pour back into that can help the community?
So which organizations to pour into that can help the community? You have to see who's working.
Okay.
Who's working, how long they've been working, find out the impact they've had so far. Talk to the people that they don't think you will talk to find out what their reputation is. Like, you really have to do your digging. It's almost like journalism, but you're doing it specifically to find out who's really making an impact.
So how can someone, a student even, become a fellow?
Well, there's an application process. So first, they just need to reach out to me at nat@polisinstitute.org. And in the subject, put attention fellow.
Okay.
And then we'll start the process. This is a very new approach for us, and we've been talking about it for a while. They've been talking about it before I came. It was one of the goals that POLIS had, but this is something that really interests me. So I'm taking it and I'm running with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to see, who would be interested in being a fellow. All you have to do is reach out. I'll need the resume. We'll have an application process, an interview process, and then we'll see if it's a good fit.
So again, reach out to Nat directly. And I love the way she just shares that information. Nat, N-A-T, at POLIS, P-O-L-I-S, institute.org. And then just in your title or your text, put down fellow, and she'll know to get right back to you. So again, what do you need more of right now?
Well, I really want fellows. And then
She wants fellows.
we're always looking for investors. We're looking for people, organizations who want to partner with us, who want to pay us for this service of the coaching, for the leadership in the community, for the research. So that could be a large nonprofit organization. It could be a for-profit business. It could be government. Everybody has use for this kind of work.
So again, when you talk about a I can't call it a collaboration, but I will call it a participatory. Think well. I want you to think and believe in the POLIS Institute, because they can make a difference in our community. Before we head out, we want to just say thank you for using your talents this way, because you've used them with the Click for years, and you've made a difference in the lives of so many young people. Now you're in a different playing field, and you're using those same facilitation and research skills and just, your knowledge, your brain. What makes you do this work for the community? What drives you, Nat?
I just believe that every human being has value and deserve dignity. And I want things to be fair. I want people who don't have what they need to get what they need so they can have a fair shake at a great life. That can manifest in so many different ways, but I'm always drawn to the underdog.
Okay.
Because I never believe the underdog is the underdog because they're not as good as the others. I know it's usually because of situations that the underdog has had to deal with that the others have not. Because every person is valuable. Everyone has an intrinsic God-given value, and oftentimes it's overlooked because of so many different things, including demographics. And I want things to be fair. And I know that's a pie in the sky desire, but I'll do whatever I can with the gifts that God has given me to create systems that make it easier for people who are in need to get what they need so they can have the best life possible. We believe at POLIS that if you give people dignity, dignified people lead to strong families. Strong families lead to flourishing neighborhoods, and flourishing neighborhoods lead to thriving cities. And so when you invest in the person, the city is improved. It may not look like it, but the city is full of people. It's a person by person thing. So I believe in the value of the person. That's where it all starts for me.
How can a city like Orlando and what POLIS is doing become a model for change for the world?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Because this is some amazing work here.
I would say, because Orlando is diverse, it's an interesting city because it's in the South, but it's not quite as southern as northern Florida, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then it's not South Florida. It's like we have this little bubble here in Central Florida, and it's an opportunity to really set an example if we can handle the diversity the right way. Having conversations with people that are different from you is always a great place to start. I don't care if it's racially, I don't care if it's sex, gender, religion. Having conversations, providing an opportunity or a platform for people who are different from one another to have conversations and learn from each other is a great step. It's a great foundation to build towards a thriving city. And Orlando is doing well. It's a beautiful place. Everybody wants to visit here, but for those of us who live here, and especially those of us who grew up here, it's different than the people who come and visit, have a good time, and go home. We get to see all corners of Orlando. Because it's so diverse, I would love to see more conversations around diversity, and from that would bubble everything that the city needs to thrive even more.
I'm going to make a statement that I have never, ever, ever stated.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Radio has taken me many places. Atlanta, didn't see it as much as in Montgomery, Alabama. I was there for 4 years, and then I came here. You would think that I would have been exposed to, experienced, et cetera, more prejudice there in that Montgomery and even Selma. I did some work in Selma, Alabama, but I got it here. And this is it's a larger area, more diverse. There's no explanation for that, so I can't look to you and say, you're native here. What do you think? What do you think?
I can still tell you what I think.
You'll tell me what you think then.
Even though it's diverse, it's still segregated.
Yeah.
It's diverse, but there are different types of people here, but they're not mixing together. We have different pockets. This is Chinatown. You got the black neighborhood here. You have the Caribbean here. You have the white folks here. Everybody's here, but it's not mixing. I mean, you have some people, but mostly people are sticking to their own. And that's the challenge, because now you only know about people like me based on what you've seen on television. You don't have friends that look like me, so you don't know how to engage me. And then you offend me. So until we start to see what we have in common and start creating environments where people can come together that are different, it's going to always feel like that. Like I stay to my folk, you stay to your folk. I pass you on the street, but I don't say anything,
Yeah.
This is because it's so diverse, it's a wonderful opportunity, but
let's take advantage.
People have to mix.
Let's take advantage of the diversity that's here and be an example for the world, because we can do that, because the world comes to Orlando.
Yes.
And we need to stop being so polarized. So I'm hoping that POLIS Institute
Come on now, I saw how you did that.
can be the prod that gets us to that point.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to put on a CEO.
That's okay. God gave me broad shoulders for a reason.
There you go. There you go. Nat C. Jones, if you had to leave us with one word about the stake that we all have in living well here in Central Florida, what would that word, that sentence be?
I would say don't sit on the sidelines. If you care about your community, get involved in some way. Change happens when people show up. That's what I would say.
Okay. All right. So again, Nat C. Jones at POLIS Institute can be reached at .org, nat at polisinstitute.org. She's looking for fellows, looking for people that they can pour into, that can pour back into the community. They're looking for data, too. Why is data so important?
Data is important because community transformation isn't just about feeling, warm and cozy and talking to people. We're trying to move the needle. Data, it shows and it proves that we're actually making an impact.
Okay.
And when investors see that you've actually made an impact, then they're more attracted to invest more. So we have to show the proof.
Okay.
It's the proof that the hard work is actually working.
Mm-hmm. And notice you called it hard work or heart?
Heart.
Uh-huh.
Hard work.
I got it.
And hard work is hard work.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love you in this new role. This just fits you so well.
Right?
It does.
I'm so excited.
The new CEO of the POLIS Institute. And as I always say, that is an amazing hidden gem in our community. So we will definitely be on top of what they're doing as they expand under the new leadership of Nat C. Jones.